Om Swastiastu. Selamat pagi pemirsa Kompas TV Dewata dimanapun Anda berada. Semoga selalu dalam kondisi yang sehat ya. Senang sekali pagi hari ini kembali berjumpa bersama saya Permana Dewi dalam program SAPA Bali Pagi. Seperti biasa dalam program SAPA Bali Pagi ini saya tidak sendiri ya. Karena sudah hadir di studio Kompas TV Dewata narasumber yang tentunya sangat berkompeten pada bidangnya. Seperti pagi hari ini kita akan membahas seputar simposium kesehatan yang dimana ini sangat bermanfaat sekali berkaitan sama kolaborasi dan juga inovasi untuk Bali dan juga Indonesia. Sudah hadir di studio Kompas TV Dewata Mr. Kevin Su. Mr. Kevin Su is the president of the International Society of Regenerative Medicine and Wound Repair and chairman of MEBO Group. He is here in Bali for the 2025 International Diabetic Lower Extremity Symposium, a major global event under the APEC framework. We will talk about how this symposium promotes medical collaboration, innovation, and also how Bali and Indonesia play an important role in the Asia-Pacific healthcare. Welcome to Bali, Mr. Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, we will start our first section. In this section, we will talk about this symposium is held under the APEC framework. Could you explain how APEC contributes to reshaping global medical collaboration, especially in the Asia-Pacific region?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, serve as the former chair of the APEC host committee. I truly understand that for the existing of APEC platform, it actually bringing together the 21 economies around the world to creating a new resolutions among confronting the global challenges that bring to people, especially related to the field of technology and health. And for APEC, beyond the original trade purposes, now we talk about how we bring in partnership, how we can forge collaboration. And because of that, APEC become a progressive platform that hosts each year as a tradition to continue shaping a new dialogue that's seeking for a solution. And because of that, the healthcare become one of the major issue we're talk about. And especially this year's, where during the APEC CEO Summit in Korea, my focus as the keynote speaker will be on how to do a transition among digital healthcares to the current health system we hold in our world.
Okay, before that, we also want to know, you have been an APEC strategic partner for 3 terms. Yeah, what do you see as the most significant achievement so far?
I think because we know that for APEC it's been held more than 30 years. And one of the major challenges actually is happening back in the time of COVID, where APEC have to go through a virtual format for years. And then people actually return back to a impersonal dialogue and conversation as the tradition. Through this transition, they actually lost some of the communication, some of the, I would say, the bridges they have been built back in the old time. And my job is to help restoring the trust and restoring the connections among people. And because of that, right now what I see from this newly formed APEC summit year after year, especially the last 3 years, is people start to restoring and return back to their in-person format, and they actually start to have their insight and input start to innovating into the dialogue, which is really important because we're looking for participant, not only from the government officials, but also from the NGO, nonprofit, all the sectors. It's going to be a much more well-rounded conversation. And also we want to seek a more global, I would say, a global standardization of accepting new ideas in this platform, a much more open one.
Is it most of people still feel about the impact of COVID?
I would say the key here is, APAC is one of the most diverse platform that we actually have, and is being happening each year. So it's really important that how the country and also the economies have their leaders exchanging their thought, but also find a way to collaborate. But the point of collaboration are not only happening naturally, they need devotions from others, like university, academic, or nonprofit, to actually providing their needs, and especially also the information we receive from the front line, how these information we received could contribute to the dialogue. Because by the end of the day, it's about how we can find a way to communicate among each other, to communicate among the diversity.
Okay. Okay. One of the key themes of APEC's health agenda is medical resource sharing. Can you explain how this system works across different countries?
So for example, to me, I think it's really about how to allocate the right medical resources among different economies. One of the major problems for economies is they usually have their own way of practicing healthcare. They have their own kind of policies. They have their own tempo of progression in their healthcare reformation. And because of that, how we can synchronize these changes become one of the major challenges. And what we have to do is make sure that based on the social economic status of the economies in APAC platform, they can be transparent but also open to synchronize with other economy and creating layers that actually providing input opportunities for economy to collaborate. So for example, a economy may start to think about working with another economy based on a fastest way to standardize their both healthcare system. Or for example, a economy can be a provider of reformation to their healthcare system due to the reformation of another. So they can learn from each other, they can exchange from each other, and also they can collaborate.
But what do you think about health policy around the world? Can we synchronize it?
I would say this. I think the key here is we know the disparities from the healthcare system in different economies, especially because of the APAC. But we also know that all these healthcare systems or all the economies, by the end of the day, they're looking for the well-being of people. So we know that they have a bigger common goal. So how we elaborate that path to creating a common goal developed from all those economies become, I would say, the major grip for how we can creating a universal standardization. So therefore, as I said, it's important to be open-minded, to have transparencies among each economies. And by the end of the day is we can definitely finding a solution to hold a commonalities.
Okay, we do that for people well-being. Yeah? Okay. Could you share an example on how APEC's medical network has helped in real disaster situation?
So for a example, if you have a major, for example, healthcare outbreak, for example, it can be a natural catastrophe, or it can be a big accident or disaster happening in one APAC economies. In the meantime, not only the economy of incidents, other economies surrounded should also contribute to the rescue and also the emergent responding. So therefore, you can not only allocate the healthcare resource, but in the meantime, you're also providing a much more, I would say, flowed, systematic response in the practical and practice way of providing healthcare to others. So, for example, if we have a major health problem, happen in Latin America, for example, in Chile, then, for example, the nearby economy, Peru, will be the first responder line that can work through the APAC economy to send their experts, to send their knowledge, send their medical resource to make sure we don't miss the more essential time of rescue.
Oh, so we work together.
Yes.
Okay, okay. What an insightful discussion for first section. We will be right back in 5 minutes ya. Sebentar lagi kita akan kembali lagi pemirsa di segmen kedua. Kita akan membicarakan terkait dengan inovasi dan juga kolaborasi apa yang bisa dilakukan untuk memberikan manfaat yang luar biasa pada dunia. Jadi jangan kemana-mana dulu ya. Pemirsa Kompas TV Dewata, kita masih berjumpa dalam program Sapa Bali Pagi. Di segmen kedua ini kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol seputar inovasi dan juga kolaborasi yang dilakukan ya untuk membuat kesehatan kita ini memang benar-benar bermanfaat sekali bagi dunia. Langsung saja kita ngobrol bersama dengan Mr. Kevin. Mr. Kevin, now we speaking of innovation. How can international organizations and corporations work together to strengthen regional governance in healthcare?
Well, as the founder of the International Society of Regenerative Medicine and Wound Repair, we try to creating a platform that providing innovative thought from a mixture of leaders in private sector, in academic and policy. So by the end of the day is how we can creating some kind of a solution that can really implementing in people and in communities. And because of that, you need a contribution from all sectors. And because of that, it's important that we're creating a tradition of hosting a symposium year after year, and we're inviting old friends and new friends. So in the meantime, we're receiving new information and knowledge in the front line. Meanwhile, start to refining what's been happened in the past.
Can you explain how the example of solution that you mentioned before?
So, for example, I would like to actually creating having this example back in the past that during the COVID time, for example, one of the major partners for this society is the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical School in Harvard Medical School. From the Dr. Vivis team, that they find out there is a relation between, for example, diabetic ulcer and COVID. So in the meantime, they're actually forming a new initiative in the center that trying to do research on what's happening. But in the meantime, they have to collecting more information and data from the patient worldwide. Anything happening in a single economy cannot reflecting what's happening around the world. You need to have a much more on time-sensitive base to collecting information so you can have a better understanding how things are happening. And that's one of the example that we take this initiative and we reform it time after time through this symposium and continue with this dialogue. So therefore, by the end of the day, you're creating a much more completed data that we can use as a consideration for further research and also clinical practice.
Okay. We say a lot of impact about COVID, but for you, is it we will meet a same or new crisis like COVID before?
Well, that's really important that I think COVID is a global crisis. And I would say platform like what we build is something that's not only sustainable, but something that actually providing a preparation for a future incoming incidents that happen. And we always should actually creating a much more proprietary, I would say, a base or some kind of a format of partnership that have resilience toward any global changes. Because by the end of the day, it's not only a platform we build, but we also have to creating some kind of a legacy where the younger generation, the next generation of people, they have to keep that in count and also make a full usage of the platform, right? So COVID is just something that happened in the past, but once we have further develop a crisis in future, we have a much more, I would say, preparation towards it.
Okay, just because you mentioned the young generation, how do you think this young generation?
Actually, one of the, I would say one of the things I see that happening in the younger generation of people is they have thought and they have the ambition to make a difference. They need a platform and they need a way to have their voice heard by others. So the symposium we have, we're inviting young doctors, young scientists around the world to actually have their voice heard. And this is really important because you may develop or you may discover the next voice that may lead to a big change in the world. So you don't want to miss that.
Okay, how's the response of the young generation to come to this symposium?
So, for example, the symposium itself, creating an opportunity for the younger generation to exchange their ideas with the folks or the doctors with seniorities. But in the meantime, like we also have the young doctors got their voice actually outreach beyond the geographic restrictions they're supposed to have. Because all we really need to do is not only lower the bar for the communication, but will help facilitating communication so they can engage with each other.
Okay, okay. One of the main focuses in this Bali conference is diabetic lower extremity lesions. Why this is such an urgent global issue?
Well, because we know that with the prevalence of the global aging population, it's really important that we develop some kind of a standardized solution, especially happening in the community level, that can control the growing of the elder populations related to the chronic illness. And for example, the lower extremity or the diabetic wound ulcer are one of the major, I would say, the major symptom that we discover in this age group. And it's not something that happened with the single countries. You know, it's a global new wave of confrontations. And we want to make sure that we have enough knowledge and we have enough way to creating a standardization by composing what we found among other countries, like what they have to done, what they have done to make a difference, what they have to done to actually creating a new pathway to fight against such problematic issues. And from there, we can definitely creating a new solution upon it.
Okay. Is it the same message that you will bring to South Korea in APEC Summit?
I would say for my part of the keynote speech this year for the Korea APEC CEO Summit, I was actually stressing on how to form a partnership for the APEC economy, but also for challenging the world to bring together the doctors and the patient to form a community level standardization of care. Because we know that even though we are having diversities, but by the end of the day is we all have to face the same issue of aging, the same issue of chronic illness, but we are strong because we are bounded by humanity.
Yeah. In today's world, regional development often depends on both public and private corporation. In your view, what roles do international organizations and private companies play in driving regional medical development?
I would say two things. First of all, for the private sector and the nonprofit organization, they actually have the advantage to have a direct engagement with the front line. so they actually knows what's happening in the front line that demands support. And from there, they can develop a temporary response or creating a short model to test if this model may work. That actually providing providing the government or providing the big corporation a model of replication. So for example, if there is some kind of things happen in the region, the private sector and the nonprofit should also find out some kind of a short-term resolution. And then the government can actually come in right after and creating a replication of model. So that's the number one thing. And second of all, the nonprofit and the private sector also creating a bond between people and the government.
Okay.
Yeah, because they are the one that usually have their mission driven. So their mission driven based on the people is not a one-time effort, it's a continuous effort. So that will lead to a collective data that support their mission. In the meantime, it also providing government a much more testimony on creating a replication of model.
Okay, and you see this apex ini influence in promoting this partnership between government, organization, and companies?
I would say one of the example is, for example, we creating sometime like a nonprofit organization may creating a distribution channel for a certain like medicine or certain, for example, vaccine or treatment, and that channel can actually be used by government in future for a new health outbreak.
Okay.
So therefore, the person or the nonprofit or the private sector are the one that maintaining such channel will actually contribute to a facilitation of a future remedies.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kevin. We will back in a moment. Kita akan kembali lagi, pemirsa. Tadi kita sudah membicarakan terkait dengan inovasi dan juga kolaborasi serta efek dari APEC ini ya, penyelenggaraan APEC ini ke depannya seperti apa untuk kita. Dan sebentar lagi kita akan melanjutkan pembicaraan kita lebih dekat lagi pada rumah kita, yaitu adalah Indonesia dan juga Bali. Seperti apa impact-nya? Jangan kemana-mana dulu. Kita masuk pada sesi terakhir dalam program Sapa Bali Pagi ini, pemirsa. Sekali lagi di studio Kompas TV Dewata masih ada Mr. Kevin Su. Beliau merupakan President of the International Society of Regenerative Medicine and Wound Repair and Chairman of Mebo Group. Di sesi terakhir ini kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol seputar Indonesia serta impact-nya untuk kita Bali, ya. Mr. Kevin, kita akan we will focus on Indonesia and the impact for Bali, for us. And we will talk about why do you think Bali is the right place to host this international medical symposium?
Well, I would say each year we're seeking for a place or a venue for such a important symposium that share global academic knowledge and also exchange of idea. For Bali in Indonesia, it was the host of 2013's APEC summit. So to me, I as an APEC chair, I do believe a place where actually hosting APEC before actually have the energy of bring people together. And it creating actually also a bridge for the younger generation to connecting with with the patient, but also with the people who have experience. And that's why this year we pick Indonesia, Bali, as the venue for the symposium, because I do want the APEC energy to resonate, you know, among the academic society.
We also thankful because this symposium support our local economies. Do you think about it?
Well, the thing is that's always the major topic when we talk about something related to APAC, because to connecting people with others, not only the exchange of knowledge, but also the exchange of experience. So for example, food, culture, entertainment, all these lifestyle, of course, all these things actually compose together to creating a, I would say, unique experience, and also creating a cohorts among others. So therefore, I'm pretty sure this kind of symposium will not only bring knowledge to the doctors, but also bring the world to Bali, and in the meantime, bring Bali to the world.
Okay, but for the long term, for Bali and Indonesia, what we can gain for this symposium?
I think it's really important that how we're creating a connectivities among the standardization of clinical practice in Bali to other countries, such as US and UK, because we know that there always are geographic restrictions as one of the barriers that actually, I would say, mitigate the communications among people. But now we actually lower the barrier and actually creating a in-person engagement with Bali doctor and the worldwide doctors. Then they actually exchange their thought, they exchange their friendship, they're creating a partnership, and they will creating a new opportunity for them to follow up and have the Bali doctor learn from the world. And in the meantime, we do want the world learn from Bali, because Bali are one of the major representative in the Asia economy, and especially in the APAC economy as well, because everything I talk about is really lies on the front. Everything came from the front, become the major aspect of how we can use it to shape a much more sustainable solution and model.
But how do you think about the world standardization that you mentioned before?
I would say the thing is, one care is what we're seeking for. One care in the Asia Pacific is what we truly demanded in future. Because by the end of the day, if we can all spoke the same languages, or we all perform the same practice, it can actually contribute to a much more efficient way to solve the problem. And because of that, we pick Indonesia as well, because we're knowing that there are a lot of local doctors from Bali going to be attending the conference, but they're also going to be, in the meantime, having conversation with their counterpart. And these conversations will truly contribute to their lifetime experience on how in future, when they, for example, making a observation, making a clinical decision, they actually have that imposed by their foreign counterpart on how to creating a much more standard version. So when we talk about standardization, it's not a single voice. Standardization means a unification of multiple voice. And I want to make sure Indonesia is one of the voice we need. Okay.
Do you think Indonesia or Bali can be the model of a good standardization to around the world?
I truly believe Indonesia have a great potential to be the lead voice of standardization, because the world also needs Indonesia to be the contributors of knowledge. But in the meantime, because Indonesia have a high population that have a high representation in the Asia Pacific region, so I'm pretty sure it will creating a big and positive impact to the overall collectivities of knowledge.
I think all the eye of around the world is staring in Indonesia.
Yeah, and that's why we actually creating this kind of a platform, because we have doctors from the top-notch university in the world. They all gather in Bali. They all share the same cohort experience with their peers. But in the meantime, they got a chance to actually talk with doctors in local. And I do want them not only have a wonderful experience in Bali, but I do want them to leave their experience here at Bali, at Indonesia, so it can benefit the people.
Wonderful. Finally, Mr. Kevin, what's your hope for the future of global medical collaboration?
I would say you know, this year for APEC Summit, we talk about one of the theme is bridge. And the bridge is not a single direction, it's a bi-directional. So everything that we're creating a bridge, that means we're not only creating an opening, we're creating a circulation. And I hope Indonesia and Bali will be the circulation of the worldwide knowledge in Asia Pacific.
Okay, thank you. The last one is, if you could describe your vision for Indonesia, especially Bali, in one sentence, what would it be?
I will say Bali will be the hub of clinical knowledge and gateway open to the Asia Pacific.
Okay, clinical knowledge and gateway.
Gateway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Of Asia Pacific.
Yeah,
okay.
Asia Pacific.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your inspiring insight to us, and we wish you great success in this symposium and upcoming keynote speaker in South Korea.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dan untuk pemirsa di rumah, terima kasih banyak sudah menyaksikan program Sapa Bali Pagi untuk hari ini. Semoga apa yang menjadi bahasan kita pagi hari ini bisa memberikan manfaat yang luar biasa untuk kita semua. Kita jumpa lagi di lain kesempatan. Akhir kata, Permana Dewi pamit undur diri dan para mesanti. Om Santi 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 Om.